The movement was begun by a scientist who discovered, quite by accident, these signals being sent. Please understand, they are safe as long as they are not discovered.
They want the weapon.
Look out for Charlie.
I want that son of a bitch dead. I want him dead.
I started this channel in 2014, and I started it because of a lot of the evidence that I was finding, that I was pulling out, the research I was doing, and the fact that I didn't agree with a lot of the information that was out there. I found it to be fear-based, with like no end in sight. There wasn't a light at the end of the tunnel. A lot of these people were telling people back then, you know, this is for life. Back then there was a big blur between radio frequency weapons, RF weapons, ELF weapons, and stalking. Like these two things were being blended together as though they were one thing. And it sounded insane when you listened to it. It really did. It sounded insane because they were being totally blended together. Somebody could talk about being followed and a person could eventually nod their head and understand. And the same person would talk about feeling vibrations or shocks or hearing sounds in the house and there's nobody there. And with those two things blended together, it would absolutely sound insane to somebody who was trying to understand it. The whole purpose of my channel was to make a clear presentation of what is happening to people with RF weapons and stop the terminology, the buzzwords that were being used, and to try to stop the blurring of RF weapons, radio frequency weapons, ELF weapons, and quote-unquote stalking, because they're entirely two different things. I don't cover stalking. I have never touched it. I don't plan on touching it. But that was the reason why I started the channel. I liked making the content. I liked showing people what was in the audio, try to get them to understand how this works, and what I knew up to each point that I make a video. I also believe that altogether it stands as a body of evidence. You know, over time it's gotten better. I've gotten better at it. I basically had to throw out everything that I knew about audio and relearn. So, you know, somebody that just knows a little bit about audio or knows how to do audio or record cannot just jump into this and have an opinion about it. You really have to throw everything that you've learned in the garbage and relearn how this works. It's kind of like science. Science is basically turned into a cult where, you know, people that actually learn things are mavericks, and you have to unlearn what you've learned to actually know anything. But one of the first things that I noticed after beginning to release videos was the level of bombardment that you would get on these channels. A lot of people that don't put out hard evidence, they just get beat down mercilessly. They would just be beat down in these comment sections in the same way that Fox News, CNN, and the media would do to 9/11 truth back in the day. You know, they would just mercilessly go after these people and just try their best to make them sound ridiculous. They were doing the same things to these people. I started to really enjoy tracking these sock puppet accounts, what they were doing, how they operated, and after a while I would notice that, you know, certain people have these quirks, you know, and some of these posters had these quirks, and you could see these in the different sock puppet accounts. They didn't have the wits to change their writing style according to the account that they were using. And I would notice this and I'd be like, wow, these are all the same person or more, you know. It became very interesting for me, and I did a lot of tracking. You would notice that certain accounts would all use the same buzzwords, the same talking points, the same everything. Everything was the same, and you'd be like, wow, that is the same person. It was almost as interesting as the subject itself, because these are the people that are being paid, or they're sick in the head enough to spend all their time going after something that they don't like. Like if I'm on some Republican channel or some liberal channel and I'm hearing things that I don't like, I don't spend every minute of my day hanging out on that channel talking shit. It's absurd and it doesn't make sense. And then you have to wonder, you know, why are these people here? What's the motivation? Why are they here? It became very, very interesting for me. And a lot of the people that are posting now have been here posting since the beginning. They just change accounts. The sock puppet account disappears and they pop up with a new account and they say, hey, I'm new to your channel, blah, 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 blah. You have accounts that are combative right away. But then you also have the accounts that try to get close, or they try to be nice. You know, you'll have people that begin to make contact with you, and they want information, and right away they're telling you their life story and what they do and everything, things that you aren't even asking. You know, it is unsolicited information. They want to tell you everything. And then when you don't play along, you know, a couple months, maybe longer down the line, eventually they blow up the account. And what I mean by that is they go nuts and tell you to fuck off and go crazy and call everybody an agent and leave, you know, that kind of shit. You know, I've witnessed this over and over and over, and I watch it on other accounts. Even though they're not very good at it, it is imperative to know what they are doing and how they are doing it, and what is on their mind, and where they are steering things, and the rest of it. Recently, I saw an account that caught my eye, and I started to pay attention to it. And, of course, it was one of these accounts. Now, there are a lot of these accounts out there that I've got my eye on. And these same people, the same account, if I release a video like this, they will come to the comment section and go, yeah, totally. Yeah, that's what they do. And they're one of those accounts. It's pretty amazing. This particular account caught my eye because it was very, well, let's just say 2012 era, you know, YouTube mole. And I was like, wow, your approach is very retro, bro. So I started to pay attention. And just like the accounts that would try to, hey, if you write a book, I'll proofread it for you. Send it to me first, you know, that kind of stuff. First, they started off very nice. And I could tell right away that that was their approach. I've said it a lot, that there are only so many scripts to our weapons. Well, there are only so many scripts to the mole as well. The mole only has so many scripts. And interesting, one of those scripts used to be to contact, what they used to do was they would contact you as an Arab name. And it was usually a very watch list sounding name. And they would attempt contact with you, and if you responded, they would ask like a one-line question and try to get you to respond. And they would continuously do this, and if you broke off contact, they would relentlessly hound you to respond to them. Please, I'm dying here. You know, you have to respond to me. And what I believe that this is doing is these are names that are on a watch list. And then once you have communicated with them so many times, it operates like prison. You are known and registered as an associate, a contact, and then you can be legally monitored too. So they would attempt this. They did the exact same thing to Michael Cravey, Thomas Brinkley. Same guy. He had an Arab name. It wasn't an Arab guy. He had an Arab name. Begin contact with him. And that was to do the same thing. So they are doing this to multiple people, and there is a method to the madness. There is a reason why they are doing that. It's not for no reason. They didn't just pick those names for no reason. There is a reason for it, and I believe it is so you can be labeled as an associate, friend, whatever you want to call it, contact, and then you can be monitored as well. Could that be a different level of monitoring? Possibly. But I know that it is happening, and I know that these contacts, every one of them, freak out when you stop contact with them. And they use different names as well. But the Arab name was very popular some years ago, and it's still pulled out today. So there are only so many scripts. But this particular one that I was watching came on nice. And I just kept my eye on it and didn't respond. And when you don't respond to them, it ramps up after that. If I could get paid to research these moles just on the side, I would totally take the job. 100%. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to analyze and show you one of these moles. This mole goes by the name Dwayne. Dwayne Wolziak, right? And Dwayne has been around for a long time. Dwayne just keeps switching account names and coming back and starting the same game over and over. He starts off nice to hopefully get some posts through, and then they get progressively crazier. And then as time goes on, he begins to just get disparaging and downright combative, even if nobody's paying attention to him. So let's analyze Dwayne. So here is the analyzation of Dwayne Wolziak. Now, this is one of Dwayne's first posts. He comes out of the gate a month ago, and he's trying to get a couple through so he can begin getting combative. So this video is on who's doing this? Weaponized RF and ELF, right? And Dwayne agrees. Dwayne writes, great video, even with the flaws. So it's the compliment sandwich. They use that a lot. Great video, even with the flaws. This is a great one. Remember, this guy's been around for a long time. Dwayne's next comment is under the same video. And he says, Guantanamo was a diversionary tactic, one of the multi-levels. So it kind of makes sense, it kind of doesn't. But Dwayne believes that Guantanamo Bay was set up as a diversionary tactic. Sounds a little far-reaching, but whatever. Now, this is very Unit 8200 of Dwayne. We're still on the same video. Who is doing this? And Dwayne writes, India is sandwiched in there also. In this video, I am using an octopus as a reference to show the multiple arms of RF weapons. And it's like the whole Russia collusion bullshit. Here he is saying that India is responsible for RF weapons. I guess they're a big player, right? India. So Dwayne is sharing his knowledge of everything he knows in his psyche with us. Dwayne shows up again to compliment me. And Dwayne states, don't ever apologize for sharing the truth. The ones with the tools don't care. The ones without are without. They won't even understand what you are saying. So Dwayne is on your frequency. Dwayne can understand you. They won't get it. I get it. I get what you're saying. I'm your friend. Let's party together. Let me read your book. Let me read your email. Send me your videos before you upload them. That kind of thing. Now, this video is about the compartmentalization of a surveillance weapon. And Dwayne begins to make less sense. This was copied actually a while ago, even though it says 12 days ago. This was one of the first ones that I made a screen cap of. It says, furthermore, Charlie, it's about consumption. The more they know you, the better to sell you, my dear. But he spelt deer as in the animal. They could care less about you plotting to do something heinous. They promote such activities. What do you think red flags are, silly? Well, I think Dwayne meant false flags, not red flags, but it doesn't make any sense. And calling me silly, it almost sounds like Mr. Slave is talking to me. It's a little weird. My dear and silly. It's kind of feminine. You'd almost think it was a woman. But it just really doesn't make any sense. It's a bunch of mishmash garbage. Dwayne goes back to the same Who's Doing It weaponized RF video, and he post-bombs it. Dwayne finds hidden meanings. He says, small tidbit. Washington statue. What do you see? Think what I said, multiple levels, meaning information.
Dwayne has a stupid shaped head, so he loses that battle.
Dwayne is trying to lead you down some rabbit hole of obscurity, to look at the Washington statue and find hidden meanings in it, not focus on, what is right in front of you. He wants you to go off and find hidden meanings in a statue somewhere. Fantastic. Dwayne is a fountain of information and insight. Dwayne got no responses over that 2-week period when he started posting that month ago. Not only that, but he has laid the foundation down to start really comment bombing or getting to the job, getting to what he was sent there to do, because that's Dwayne's job, right? So Dwayne's mind splits. First, he wanted us staring at statues in Washington and finding hidden meanings. He even told me that a video about RF weapons was a great video, even with the flaws. But now Dwayne's mind splits, like he's two different people. Like 2 or more people from Unit 8200 are sharing his account. It's almost like that. So after 2 weeks, here's a video I put up a long time ago about fungus and how electrical signals and RF signals can ride on fungus. And they're admitting this now everywhere on Google. And he comes in here 2 weeks ago, and Dwayne says that this video was exactly backwards fakery. I don't know what exactly backwards fakery is, but Dwayne knows. And Dwayne is instilling his wisdom to the people who are watching these videos that it is fakery. What part of it is fakery? We don't know. Am I faking it all? What's going on? We don't know, but it is just exactly backwards fakery. What part is exact? We have no idea, but Dwayne knows. Dwayne Wolziak.
Dwayne has a stupid shaped head. So.
Then Dwayne comes to the audio recorders don't hallucinate video and writes, it's still called thermoelectric magnetism frequency, and you are full of crap. Wow, Dwayne. That makes no sense. Have no idea what he's talking about. Went from great video to look for hidden meanings in statues to backwards fakery to you are full of crap. This is the progression. And you can learn a lot by watching this. Comes on nice, it gets mean. In fact, this technique is actually used with people who are attacked with radio frequency weapons. Look at Greg Giles. Greg Giles was the guy that thought he was in contact with aliens, and it started off all nice and he was being contacted from the heavens, and then progressed to voices harassing him all the time. It got meaner and meaner as it got closer. So this is the same kind of shit, and it's beautifully entertaining in a way that they don't expect. This particular sock puppet actually amazed me because it only went on for a month before they blew it out. Usually it takes a lot longer for them to blow things out, at least a few months. I've never really seen one do this that wasn't just combative right out of the gate. Usually these types of accounts go on for a while before they start peppering the videos with aggressive comments, right? So now Dwayne has not had a response. No one is engaging with Dwayne. Dwayne is not influencing anybody with his statue hocus pocus, his rabbit holes, his consumerism, blah, 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 blah. So Dwayne starts to trail off into fantasy land. He really does. Dwayne starts to lose touch, and what Dwayne is going to attempt to do is just take over the narrative completely, and this is very old school. This is the most 2012 comment in his whole litter of comments. So Dwayne is going to just give you the narrative, and you are going to listen, and you are going to think, if you didn't know any better, that I actually did say these things and did do these things. Now I am the focus of everything. So Dwayne seriously trails off into Unit 8200 Fantasyland. So in typical fashion, Dwayne starts the comment as if he cares about me. Dwayne cares about me and what is going to happen to me. And Dwayne says, you are so intelligent, but yet you don't see. Do you not know God's law, the true word? Well, why don't you tell us what religion you are, Dwayne? Because there are a lot of different gods out there according to a lot of different religions, and I would like to know exactly what law are you talking about. Are you talking about Muslim law? Are you talking about Christian law? Are you talking about Jewish law? Are you talking about Hindu law? Are you talking about Wiccan law? I don't know. A lot of these people will pose as Christians and they're not. So we really don't know what this means. And he says, do unto others as you would have done unto you. Meaning, the more you, I guess, inflict is supposed to be inflict.
You're retarded.
And the more you inflict this made-up hocus-pocus, indoctrinated fear porn unto your fellow man, you will reap what you sow, big time. Really, Dwayne. Well, you were just telling me not 2 weeks ago that my RF videos were good, despite the flaws. And then he was telling me to look into the hidden meanings of a fucking statue. And now he's telling me that this is all made up hocus pocus. This sounds a lot like the Dales, which were linked back to somebody else that was linked back to somebody else that was another rabbit hole. He then states, you are becoming what you put out, indoctrinated garbage fear porn, and it's you are getting much worse quickly. So Dwayne is pretending that like I'm suffering from RF weapons or something when I'm the one putting the word out about it and showing people evidence.
You're retarded.
Dwayne, I don't have any problems when I stop this. I'm going to go out and work on my car or do something, Dwayne. You're not making a whole lot of sense here. You're really drifting into fantasy land. And I could get even more hardcore with that statement, but I'll keep it cool for the sake of my YouTube. He then goes on to say that you should watch the documentary They Live, in parentheses. Now that's very Neil Dale. It's about putting fear into society so they can feed the machine through consumption. Actually, no, I use They Live in my intro. Dwayne, you dumbass. Do your research, you moles, dude.
Dwayne has a stupid shaped head.
So, They Live is about a frequency that is keeping people in a sub-sleep state where they can just function. And it's not just consumption, it's everything. So then, this is where Dwayne really wants to get combative with it. He says, like the frequency is getting me, I need a bunker, a Faraday cage, devices to prevent my circuitry in my house from failure. Dude, if anybody's ever seen my videos, I don't promote fear. I tell people not to be afraid of it. Keep your electronics in a Faraday cage if you want, so you don't get the photos of your family zapped or some shit. Do that all day. But this person is exaggerating. See, they take over the narrative when they're not getting their way. It's just like the Bolsheviks I was talking about in my last video. This is operating just like Bolsheviks. I'll continue. Faraday cage devices to prevent my circuitry in my house from failure in the event. Oh yeah, and one for my car and one for my devices, and I'll need food, water, ammo, firearms, tinfoil hat. No wait, instead of free foil hat, we can buy a real deal for a mere $66.60. Nice try, Dwayne. See, I do not promote any of that survivalist stuff on this channel. What is this guy talking about? So this guy has literally stayed here on this channel for a month and then lost his mind. So he has lost his mind in denial. He is literally making up the narrative and feeding it to you. And then he goes on to say, oh yeah, I need all the survival gear. Are you seeing the insanity you are living? Dwayne, have you seen my survival gear? Have you seen my survival gear videos? Absolutely not. Dwayne is taking over the narrative in hopes that somebody watching the video reads this and goes, wow, he must have videos like this. It's not happening. The only thing happening is you're getting really sick in the mind by the sick-mindedness you are dishing out. So it's not happening. It's only happening because you're dishing it out. This is amazing stuff. When somebody posts something like this, just post send in the clowns underneath. Dwayne is a fountain of information. And then Dwayne goes on to tell me there are real consequences for what you do not understand. There's a reason King Solomon, I like that you quoted that, stated you need 7-year knowledge of magic to delve into means. 7 by 7 equals 49 years. And I'm trying to decipher this because Dwayne doesn't type that well. And you think there's no consequences for what you're doing? But then he says, I think you are ignorant to exactly what is going on. And I implore you, now listen to Dwayne, because this is kind of a hidden thing. I implore you to cease and desist if you know what's good. If you don't believe, ask someone you trust that doesn't know how you feel, and they will tell you the truth. Save yourself. Wow. Dwayne cares about me that much. And it's funny, I forgot to bring this up. He writes it really screwy here. But he wrote, meaning earlier, do you have any more family members, friends, other than anyone who believes this? Who believes in RF weapons? Everybody I know believes in RF weapons, dude. You are living in 2012. You are probably the way you write, you are probably an early 60s, maybe mid 60s troll mole who was around in the heyday in 2012, and you are still under the impression that it is 2012, and you are probably thinking that any day now Crowley is still going to release the Gray State movie, but you forgot that you guys offed him. It seems like you're senile. everybody knows that RF weapons are very real now. So, back to this. He tells me to cease and desist if you know what's good for you. So it's kind of like, is it a threat? Is it not a threat? I don't know. But I need to ask somebody I trust that doesn't know how I feel. Well, everybody that I trust knows how I feel. Right? So it doesn't make any sense. It's a bunch of bullshit. But he blows up the account with this because now, Dwayne, your handle on here, your sock puppet, you have to switch again. I know you've been here for a long time, but you have to switch again because you are canceled here. Totally and completely canceled. But it's awesome that this guy starts off with great video, even with the flaws. And there's a lot of them that I'm not showing you in between. Talking about India being part of RF weapons. Guantanamo is a diversionary tactic. He helps me out by telling me to never apologize for sharing truth with people out there. Don't apologize, man. Do your thing, you know. Then Dwayne is telling us to look deeper into Washington statue for hidden levels and hidden meanings. Kind of going off the deep end, right? And then attempts to tell me you don't need a bunker or a Faraday cage or Faraday cages for your car or your devices. Food, water, ammo, firearms. This guy is a leftist. So this is how the mole operates, and I hope you got something out of this. It's the epitome of what multiple personality would be if it were real. It's like 5 people are at the wheel, because if you read the comments, they don't make any sense. And Dwayne, you really need a new job, bro. You need a new job, or you need to retire from what you're doing. And that's it for now. Look out for Charlie.
Come on, do Nazi stuff.
Look out for Charlie.